For as long as I can remember, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to get a job. I used to look over the classified ads in the paper, back when people still did things like that, and try to find jobs that would be interesting. I once applied for a job at the South Bend Tribune as a computer programmer doing Quick Basic. 10 minutes into the phone interview, the hiring manager realized I was only 13 years old, and he told me I should stay in school and wait as long as humanly possible before getting a job. And sometimes I wish I had followed that advice. A few years later, when I was actually old enough to get a summer job, I responded to an ad. I called the number and they said they had an interview slot in 20 minutes. Could I get there? The answer was yes. I threw on the suit I'd borrowed from my dad, which looked exactly like I'd borrowed a suit from my dad. I hightailed it to their office and I sat through this interview. It went on about 30 minutes. And at the end, I walked out and realized I had no idea what they did. Believe me, I asked. I tried to figure it out. So I got a bunch of weird answers, vague evasions, and something about buying things and selling things, and I was naive. These were red flags. I should have thought about it as maybe a warning sign. They could have been a front for the mob. Could have been some kind of heroin operation. I don't know. But I was naive. I wanted a job. I was 16. I was eager. And so when they called and offered me a second interview, I said, yeah. I showed up again. It's a group interview this time. They said there were a limited number of positions for their organization, and I was the only one in this suit. Also, still my dad's suit. And we sat there in rows, in chairs, and this guy walks out in front of us, and he shows us what we'll be doing. We'll be selling Kirby vacuum cleaners. Now, if you're of a certain age, you'll recognize the Kirby as that heavy-duty, chrome-plated, high-quality vacuum cleaner that weighs a ton and does a better job than almost any vacuum cleaner you've ever seen. If you're of a different age, slightly younger, you'll recognize the Kirby as one of the main characters of A Brave Little Toaster from Disney in 1989. And if you're younger than that, you may recognize the Kirby as that ancient beast of a machine that your great-grandparents bought like 100 years ago that's still in their closet and they still use, even though it weighs about 3 times as much as they do. Now he goes through this interview, which is really more of a presentation. It's like a timeshare presentation. It is so aggressive. He goes through demonstrating the product, all the attachments, how it compares to all the other vacuums, how it's better than all the other vacuums. Thing is insane. And then he goes into how much money we're gonna make, because the way it works is they drop us off in a neighborhood in the morning and we go door to door offering in-home demonstrations. And these things, they just sell themselves. Now I have a few major concerns at this point. Number one, door-to-door sales, not my thing. Not interested. That sounds like the worst way to do any kind of business. People don't want you banging on their door, trying to come in and sell you something. The second one, and this is probably the most important part, is the asking price. $3,000. They wanted $3,000 for the Kirby vacuum cleaner. Now, paired with the door-to-door, I don't think these things are selling themselves. I don't think they're selling at all. So, needless to say, when they called and offered me a job, because I think they offered everyone a job, I said no. And I went and got a normal part-time job, for minimum wage, like any other normal 16-year-old would. Now, fast forward a few years. I had graduated from college. I was working in my full-time regular job that wasn't selling door-to-door. And my wife calls me. Now, she was in grad school at the time. She was at home. She said, door-to-door salesman came by today. And they offered to clean the carpet in one of our rooms of our house. And I thought the living room could use a good cleaning. So I said yes. And that was 2 hours ago. And he's still here. And I don't know how to make him leave. I said, let me guess. Kirby vacuum cleaner? She says, how did you know? Can you come home and help me? And so I got home at the end of the day anyway, and I get there, and sure enough, the guy's there. And as soon as I go in, he launches into his sales spiel for me, talking to me all about how great this thing is and all the attachments and how long it lasts and how this is the last vacuum you'll ever need to buy. And I just kept saying no. And he kept launching into new benefits in this. And I said no. And eventually I thought maybe I'm going to give him a real strong sign here. And I went into the kitchen. I started making dinner. And I just started ignoring him. I was being polite up until the point where he walks in, follows me into the kitchen, walks up right next to me at the stove and says, what are we having for dinner? What are we having for dinner? We aren't having anything. You are leaving. I turned over and I said, I love these vacuum cleaners. They're great. They're some of the best vacuums out there. I would love to buy one. $200. How's that? And he sputtered. He's like, there's a $3,000 vacuum cleaner. I said, yeah, but nobody's going to spend $3,000 on a stupid vacuum cleaner. I'll give you $200. Final offer. And he stares at me for a moment. And then he packs up his stuff and he leaves my house. I thought I'd won. But a few weeks ago, my wife bought a new vacuum cleaner. Not a Kirby, no. No, she bought a vacuum cleaner, a little portable one, to clean the stairs. It was a lightweight, something easy to clean the carpet on the stairs without lugging a huge upright vacuum cleaner up and down, back and forth. And so she bought that, and I thought, well, we have the upright upstairs, another upright that we keep downstairs so we don't have to haul them back and forth. The shop vac in the garage, a mini shop vac we keep in the basement, another portable one we keep in the hall closet. We have another portable one, an old one that we keep that's just for the car, another old upright that we keep in the garage for the upstairs, for the attic. I counted it up. We have 8 vacuum cleaners. We own 8 vacuum cleaners. And I bet if you add them all up, it comes out pretty darn close to $3,000.